Oh, wait, I wasn't recording. I am now, though.
Okay. Good.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to Azeroth Roundtable, episode 361. It's Friday night. My name is Ben Bumhofer. I'm excited to be here. And with me, almost as always, back triumphantly, having defeated some sort of sickness, which we believe is the flu, is John Jagger. How's it going, John?
Hey, Ben, you know what I find to be the mark of a person who is definitely feeling away is when they exuberantly say, I'm excited to be here. I go, man, that's someone who's so excited to be here, they had to say it out loud with words.
Oh, with gusto, even, I would hope.
Sure. I believe
Yeah.
it. Ben, I believe you.
Well, good, because I am actually really excited to be here. Do you know why, John?
It's Friday night in Azeroth?
That's part of it. Another part is that I've actually been spending a lot of time in WoW lately.
Wow.
But even more so, I am super excited because joining us tonight is Belle with a triumphant return to the roundtable.
Yay! Fanfare, clapping,
Woo!
tomato throwing.
We should
Maybe turds on
probably...
fire, I'm not sure.
We probably should invest in some sort of fanfare, you know.
Like, annoying fanfare, right? Like, maybe that guy who always yells, "Hey, I bet!"
You mean Costello? Or, yeah, Costello.
in the Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Yep, totally play off of Abbott and Costello. It's great.
Saying we should do that.
Do I have,
Okay.
let's see. The closest I have to a fanfare is this. Give it a second, it's loading.
Yeah.
And, oh, you're not going to hear it. Hold
Please
on.
wait while we load fanfare.
Yeah. It's the best I got. Right here. Not the cat.
That's good fanfare for camping. I dig the vibe.
Perfect.
I like the story we're telling.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's not really the equivalent of excitement of having Belle here, but it's what I got.
It's good to know that you captured audio from the audience reaction to last week's episode.
Oh, wow.
I'm kidding. I was there in the chat. It was a fine time.
That was a lot of bitterness. Dripping with a little bit of really hoping you fail in my absence.
It's fine. It's actually a pretty good episode. I enjoyed it.
It
I
was.
missed you. You would have been able to contribute quite a bit, but I feel like I did speak for you near the end there.
Yeah, I mean, I was there in the chat. I was speaking passionately and
We
authoritatively.
ignored you for some of it, so
You were able to ignore my constant comments for a while, and
You spoke
well, fine.
authoritatively in a chat.
Yeah, really, if you want, so
All caps,
here's the
or-
secret. No, it's not. That's just yelling. If you want to speak authoritatively in the chat room, you have to just make sure that whatever you say has proper punctuation, very important, because then it's very clear that this is a comma, this is another comma, and this is a period, because I did a list of 3 things. So punctuation, very important. Also, if you can really exaggerate something, good way to be authoritative. You got to be careful, though, because you can't get too ridiculous. You can't be like, there's 100 trillion people that know that I'm right. No, that's dumb. But you could say, hundreds of people know that what I'm telling you is the truth.
So what you're saying is that we need to start actually setting up chat rules for when people log into our Twitch channel.
Yeah, probably.
Great.
Also, if you can just, chat the way Ben sends text messages and make sure each little line gets its own message. Like, don't write anything out too long. Just, like, each
That's
line
why Ben and I are friends, 'cause
gets-
that's what I do.
gets its own message. Ben,
And my husband gets really mad. Really, he's like, "Can you just type it all at once?"
Well,
and I'm like,
sometimes it's an afterthought.
Ben
Actually, a lot of the times
is
it's an afterthought.
almost responsible for the breaking of my phone the other
"Okay,
day.
but like sometimes I don't want to keep said individual in suspense, right? and it might be a lot. So I have to like break it up with sentences and then hitting enter.
Ben sent me a series of messages. Did you pull them up, Ben?
I went back to February 9th. That's where there's 3 things in a row, and then 2 things in a row. And then after that, it's like I say something and then you respond, and then I say something and then you respond.
Yeah, that's just
And it's
called
like normal
texting.
chat.
That's normal.
Yeah.
It was when
Yeah.
you got back from vacation. That was the
Yeah,
that was the one where it was just like my phone's just sitting on my desk and I just hear boop 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 boop, and I was just like, what does he want?
Well, no, it was okay. I will read it. It was just got home. Do you have an audio file from Friday night? And then I realized, oh, that was rude of me. I didn't even say hi. So then I sent also hi. And then I was still getting off of a huge, exciting wave from Galaxy's Edge. So I said, Galaxy's Edge is amazing. And then, yeah.
We're so on the same. And then I do that, and I do have, sometimes he's right, ideas come after the fact, and then I have to like just throw them out there or I'll forget. My husband gets really irritated. He actually, I'm pretty sure he turns his phone off when I do that. He gets really annoyed.
Well, see, the thing is one of the reasons why I send multiple texts at times is because John doesn't answer anyway. So I just want to make sure he at least sees it.
This is
Yeah,
true.
you want him to feel the vibration that you are trying to communicate with him.
You know what would make me more likely to keep my notifications on and therefore be able to respond to texts? Is if I wasn't
never
hearing a
text you.
constant boop 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 boop.
Well, look, it just because you know, we were discussing things in our D&D group on Twitter, and you never responded doesn't give you an excuse to just ignore the whole thing.
That
you
is-
needed to know if you were gonna play.
That is true. I didn't feel good though at the time.
Yeah, I know, and that's why I asked you a couple
I feel
days
like
later.
that's not an excuse. I feel like you cannot feel good and communicate, hi, I'm dead.
I think I did. I think that's actually what I said. I think I only responded one thing, and I think it was I'm dead, or I think it might have
No.
been I'm not quite dead, but I'm
I can
close.
tell you exactly because it's
Look,
I'm
Ben's
slowly
got all
no
his
longer
messages
being
on.
dead, though still mostly dead. So-
Okay.
Mostly dead.
Yeah, and
Mostly
then-
dead.
Literally, about 10 minutes later, I said, "Will you be alive and able to play?" And then nothing.
Nope, I was mostly dead. You're not gonna get
Yeah.
a response from a mostly dead person. That's just normal.
Man.
So the problem wasn't necessarily in the communication, it was in the communication.
Right.
Mhm.
You assume they knew it, but I've done that too, where Donovan will be like, "Hey, are you ready to play some WoW?" And I'm like, "I'm dead," and he's waiting, and I'm passed out, like I'm in a cough syrup coma. So I need you to just carry on and find a sub for our friendship because I'm dead for the next 2 days.
Oh yeah, but you know, it's funny. Speaking of being dead or mostly dead, I gotta say, going into some of those horrific visions with the group and cutting it super duper close to when your sanity's out because you're like way lower level than everybody else, so they don't really get the whole that you don't have any sanity. But then just at the last minute, like, oh, we're gonna do one more pull, and I'm like, oh god, and then they do, and then you drop the thing, and then everybody's okay, and it's like those close calls are amazing.
The visions are interesting, but last night it was really late, and Rem's like, let's do one of the ones you need to do because I need to cap.
Mhm.
I said, well, it's kind of late, but might as well. Now in my brain I'm saying, I know it's a bad idea to do this vision because we're 2-manning it and I'm on 9. So, and I need 4 pages at this point. So I knew it was going to be a bad time, and we did it anyway. And I stood in every possible thing that took my sanity, like every single little blurb on the ground. I was in it and on it and around it. I died 3 times. He sacrificed his sanity 3 times to save me. And at the end, I just said, let me go. Just let me lay here. And I knew not to do this so late. It was awful. But the groups in general are not fun for me. I tend to try to force someone to go with me because it is it'd be different if people listened to you or at least pretended to listen, right? Like, I'm not trying to tell you what to do or tell you how to live your life. I'm just trying to tell you how I've gotten through this vision so that you can also get through this vision and we could do it together. I'm not trying to get you to change your car insurance. I just follow the fucking mechanics and go where we need to go and do the things. But people, like, the second you try to recommend a thing, they're like, I do these all the time. Well, if you did them all the time, you'd be better, I think. But they do pose an interesting level of smashing my head against the keyboard, which is, it's nice because I don't want everything to be easy. It's not fun. But yeah, it's you know.
Well, speaking of visions, I completed my first one finally. My full clear. I felt pretty good about that. I didn't really mean to. I just wanted to complete because I've been very, I guess, focused on just like, okay, well, if I need to just do the two secondary areas to get the pages, I'll do that. And I haven't really gotten exploratory into going into, I think it's like lesser and greater that they call it. I haven't really gone into the greater areas. Just because there was no reason to. So I was just like, all right, well, we'll just do what they want me to do. But now, because I had to get my cloak up to the new upgraded appearance and effect, I was like, okay, well, I'll focus on getting through one of those greater areas, and I'll just go do that first. So went into Orgrimmar, went over there, made a little stop at the barber shop, got my head shaved. That was an exciting, fun thing to discover. And
Wait, what?
yeah, if you go in the barber shop, I don't know if it's a guaranteed gonna happen, but I went into the barber shop in Orgrimmar, and all of a sudden it filled with smoke, and a little goblin jumped on me and shaved my character's head. And then I got a toy that was a head shaver.
Yeah, he was
Holy
assimilating
crap.
you into the Horde Collective.
Yeah, so
Requires a paycheck.
yeah, so that happened, and then I was like, great. And I went into the greater area, and I didn't know what to do, so I just thought, well, I'll just start fighting stuff. And I just started killing stuff, and eventually I had killed everything in there, and a boss appeared, and I fought the boss, and I killed the boss, and I thought, all right, great, well, I got this. I guess I'll come back, and I'll get that lesser area that I had started by getting to this place. And I did that, and I was like, I got time to go do the other lesser area. I'll go do that. So moseyed my way on over there, went through, got that done, was looking at it, and I was like, well, I still got my, if I die, I res with 50%, and
Yeah.
I still have one more click of the orb to completely restore myself. Why not? I'll try this last greater area. So I went in there and, kind of figured it out, made my way through, spent the 50% res in there because I really just did not anticipate the Rexar pigs, and just all of a sudden I turned around, it was just an army of pigs running on top of me, and I was like, oh god, this is too much. But yeah, then I made my way back to the front, in front of the Thrall's place, and I still had an orb, and I was like, I could probably do this. Used it, went in, beat it, and was like, that was incredibly easy. I could have probably done this a while ago. I did this with time to spare, because I didn't think I was going to get through the whole thing, so I was kind of moseying around, too. Like, I was looking for those little crystals that you can give to the ethereal, and I was like, maybe there's one up here, and I looked around, and there wasn't. But, I wasn't racing, and I was like, I got through it, and I was like, wow, this was really easy. This was fun. I had a good time. It was kind of exactly the amount of time I wanted to spend in there. And I felt real good about it. Got my cloak upgraded. It now does not match my transmog outfit. It's a real problem. And yeah, now I've got a nice little power boost.
So I have I don't know, maybe unique problem where I'm leveling 2 cloaks. And both of them are
I
at
wouldn't
about
say that's unique. I think there's many that are dual and even
true,
triple.
true.
Yeah, especially at the end of an expansion.
Yeah, although I don't have a ton of time to do it, so I'm kind of lacking behind. I'm at, I think, maybe level 8, possibly 9 on both of them.
That's pretty great because, like, the cap, I think, is 11 now. So that's, you're not.
Because 12 is the final cap, isn't it? Or is it 15?
I think until next week, yes.
Yeah, okay. So I'm not too far behind, but so I need to get vessels to do this stuff and everything, which is, it's not a horrible thing, but so I'm, like I said earlier, I was in a, full group. It was me, Nevermore, Morgrim, Maui, and Tetsemi. We're just going through, and I mean, we did the two miners and then killed Thrall because that's about how much sanity the rest of us had. Like Tetsemi's like, capped as far as he can go, and just like he walks in and it's like, sanity loss? What's that? Because he's got his tech tree all the way down and,
That's
and
how Rem
everything
was. It
and
was
stuff.
irritating.
Yeah, and I'm just like, okay, cool. And I look at our on DBM our sanity levels. I'm like, okay, we're down to about 200 or so, and I look, he's at like 1500. I'm like, oh man, this is great, but this is the worst. But um, so anyway, so we were able to get just crack out a whole bunch that way and stuff. So I'm really excited to get to the point where I can go into these harder areas and really just survive a lot longer because John, what you described is kind of what I want, is to be able to really spend my time in there and look around and everything. So I know that you were saying that that's what you were hoping for the horrific visions when they first came out. Is it kind of satisfying what you wanted?
Yeah, it really is. Like, there's some really interesting things in there if you have the time to goof around with it. And, I mean, you can see them running through quickly, but, like, there's no reason to go into the tailor shop in Stormwind and really read about how the tailor shop owner has had her mouth sewn shut.
Oh,
That's just a dark little detail that's in there.
Jesus.
And you're like, oh, hell, this is insane. But it's in there. It's in there if you want to explore. Or the little toy maker that makes his way around Stormwind that you can fight as an optional boss, but you kind of have to do some tricky things, like you have to CC him and then defeat his shield bot separate from him because he repairs the bots, but the shield bot prevents damage to him. So if you're fighting them all at the same time, you're probably not going to win the fight. So you do a little CC and you pull the bots separate and then you fight the bots and then he comes over and there's some cool little things like that that you can do. Looking for the ethereal soul traders, crystals. That's kind of a neat, fun thing. Finding, my favorite little detail is finding out, okay, which of the potions is the bad potion, because all the others are somewhat beneficial to really beneficial. So, going to that place in Stormwind and just knowing, like, okay, he's by the bottle that's the bad bottle. I now know what I can drink as I go through. Like, all these cool little things that are hidden around in there, if you spend the time looking for it, has really made that activity incredibly fun for me. I just had to get to it, and it took a while to get to the point where I could get in and do it. The downside is now I am way more interested in going in than I am doing the dailies to get the items to be able to. So I have now spent all of my vessels, especially because I had one really bad run where I made a mistake and I died, and so I ended up having a run. I had to do an extra run basically to get the last piece, the last item for the upgrade for the week than I would have normally had to. Otherwise, I would have been going into the next week with 2. And instead, because of this little oopsie, I ended up having to go in with 0. And now I'm just like, I'm so sick of doing dailies and grinding and doing the questing to get the vessels. But I'm way more interested in going in there. So the scales have now kind of shifted in a weird way where it's like, oh, I'm way more into this piece now. God, I got to do this awful thing in order to be able to do it. Whereas before I was a little more, I was kind of enjoying both elements previously.
Now, Belle, you were saying that you went in there with a group and everything, but kind of conflicted with the way that you're going party wise and stuff. So have you done mostly by yourself? Have you gone in with parties most of the time? Like what is your whole process going into a horrific vision? You're muted too.
Muted.
Of course I'm muted because that's what we do. We mute. I don't like to do pugs, right? So I typically make Rem take me through stuff. He's a priest. So, and he's also doing both. He's doing his paladin as well. So sometimes I get his paladin, sometimes I get his priest. He does them more than I do because he is obsessed. Because he's a tryhard with making sure his cloak is the very best it can be. So I will typically wait around. I don't do the daily stuff. I do the weekly. I do the lesser, I do the weekly to get the free one out of the chest, and I do enough to make sure I at least have 2, because I think I would jump off a cliff doing dailies, because it's really hard for me at this stage in the expansion. It's really hard for me to do them, but I should be doing them because it's good to do them so that you can get more. But they recently increased the coalescings that you get for the assaults, which is really nice. But I make him just cart me through there, and you know, I actually am gonna make him waste a vessel so I can go exploring now. Because now I'm interested, because it's a lot of me screaming. Well, really more just last night. So it's typically me and him, but I think we're getting to the point where the level of difficulty, because we need so many pages, I think probably should get a 3rd or a 4th. But he's like, I have all my stuff expanded, and I have 100% less corruption, and blah blah blah, and I'm over here with 125 sanity, and he's at 1200, and I'm like, hi, I need some assistance. So then he says, oh, well, there's bottles in here, maybe you could drink one, it'll do a thing. Of course I drink the one bottle that took 55 away, and I'm like, what?
That happened to me the very first time I saw a bottle. I'm like, ooh, something's over here, cool. Walk over there, click it, 50 sandy gone. I'm like, never mind, never drinking anything else again. And then I was Tet showed us where in the not the auction house, the blacksmith shop, I don't know, whatever.
It's like the hut before the blacksmith shop.
Yeah,
I don't know what it normally is, but it's just before it.
Yeah, there's the dead body there, and whatever's next to that, don't drink that. And what's really funny is I went through on my mage on one of these runs, and at some point I picked up one of the potions without like remembering, I guess, because it was the fire breath potion. And the thing is, it has the exact same animation as my dragon breath spell. So I'm walking around, all of a sudden, I'm like, I didn't hit that. And walking around some more and have it again. I'm like, but the cooldown's not off. What's going on? Like, totally forgot I took a potion. But whatever.
I think most people solo them. Rem solos them. He has done 4 before I even come out of my cave on Wednesdays or Thursdays, depending on how the week goes. I think most people choose to solo them or run with, you know, maybe other, like a healer and a tank maybe, or something. They're awful, but they are really fun because they are awful. Just don't be like me and stand in every single thing you can possibly stand in, because you're already really crappy with your sanity management, because I don't have my whole thing expanded yet. And then I made it worse I stood literally in I told him last night, I'm sorry, dude. Like, I should have not done this. I knew this was a bad idea, and here we are. He's like, it's fine, I got you. Now, the crappy part is, because I was dead for Thrall, because I said, listen, I'm going to go eat this food I have that's going to give me 100 sanity and hopefully help me get through Thrall. He starts the fight before I'm there while I'm eating the food, the kebab. And I can't get in. I didn't get credit for the 4th page because I wasn't in the room. Made me really sad. But it's my fault, right? Like, I died like 20 times, and yeah. But I just want to make sure I can have it what I need it to be for raid. I don't want my raid leader saying anything to me about why is your cloak half of what everybody else's is.
I really like the mechanic of the side bosses changing the main mechanic for the primary boss. Like, I think that's a really nice touch. Like, if I wanted to be in a stir the pot, like, let's really shake up the system kind of mood, which I usually am in, I would say that I feel like what they're doing here is a more compelling prospect for a raid than what raiding currently is.
I can kind of agree with that because, well, total spoilers to my raid team if you're listening and it's not Sunday yet. But I am completely changing roles in raid to try to spice it up because I'm not feeling raiding at the moment.
So what are you going to do?
Well, I am taking my Pandaren monk, who is a healer, and she's going to kind of, you know, take care of the homestead for a bit, and I am bringing in my Volpera mage.
Hey!
Yeah, so I've been working my butt off trying to gear her up, and I'll tell you, some drops really suck.
Yeah. Well, the mage is what I know you as anyway, so that's nice to see you getting back to your roots a little bit.
It's funny. I haven't been a mage since Warlords of Draenor. It's been quite a while.
Wow.
So, like, I'm
Well,
excited
you only
to
have
do
3
this.
buttons, so you'll be fine. Don't you worry.
There's like 4 for a fire mage.
You'll be okay.
Like, so I've been going through, I've been working on it, and I've got her gear up to like 433 at this point. Her necklace is at either 74 or 75, which is bananas to me because
The catch-up mechanic, right? It's pretty
yeah.
killer.
it's fantastic. In fact, I actually had to go and level quest through Nagitar a whole bunch to get her to friendly, just so I could have a 4th essence. So I'm like, great. But hey, I'll have 4 essences and a couple, like, you know, mission tables or mission table missions soon. But like, I'm really excited to get in there. Like, my DPS is gonna suck at first because, you know, I'm still like 10 item levels below everybody else, but I've, you know, slowly been working on getting what I can, and now emissary quests are finally dropping like 445 gear. So as long as it's not an item that doesn't need to be upgraded, like the one yesterday was, I've got a shot of getting some pretty good gear here. Although I'm still sitting at like a level 400 staff because weapons don't drop. So
How do you feel about the corruption, the introduction of corruption, and kind of how that's working in the raid flow?
well, okay. Well, first of all, the funny thing is that my mage, she got about like 4 corrupted pieces from emissary quest before I had a cloak, so I hadn't unlocked the entire thing to even like cleanse them, so I couldn't wear any of that stuff like for the long time. As for the way that, you know, the corrupted gear and stuff works in a raiding setup, it can be really interesting. Now, depending on what your role is and what corruption like you actually choose to use, it can make it really dynamic and, you know, diverse across the entire thing. So I'm kind of interested to see how it goes with DPS. But as a healer, I mean, a lot of it is stuff that I don't really want unless it's like, you know, driving my own stats up. Like, apparently I've got infinite stars, which is supposed to be like one of the best corruptions you can get on a belt, but it's 75 corruption, and I'm nowhere close to being able to like mitigate any of that yet.
And at that rate, I think at 40 you get the random creepy something spawning and chasing you around, and you just screaming incessantly throughout the next 20 seconds.
Which I'm not doing in a raiding.
70.
Oh yeah, I would never do that in a raid, because if I'm sitting there and I need to stand in a certain place, I can't have a thing chasing me, especially when I'm a healer and I heal when I stand still. So like that doesn't work. I don't think I'd be that corrupted, like up to that corruption level on a mage, because again, I have, in order to do my job, I need to stand still. So it adds a differing mechanic, and I think based on class and spec and everything, it can really give you a lot of wiggle room and stuff to play with.
I thought I was going to hate it. I had been seeing so much from the high-end raiders on Twitter about how this sucks, and you know how everyone, everything's terrible, and why are you developing, and why am I playing this game that I complain about on Twitter constantly. So I didn't have a lot of expectation going into it, but I gotta say, from a not world first raider perspective, I enjoy that I have to really think hard. I have to gauge, do I really want to go and have that blasted eyeball that was not helping last night in the vision because I chose a little bit of extra power in the corruption. But like, I enjoy that I have to make tough decisions, and I have to decide which pieces I want to cleanse because I want to keep the stats, and I want to weigh heavily which what corruption I want, because having more corruption, you do get some good stuff, and of course there's always a price to pay. But I've actually quite enjoyed having to make those decisions. There's an add-on, while I'm thinking about it, it's corruption tooltips. It expands on the tooltips that they have for the corruption pieces. It's actually super great, especially if you're doing back-to-back runs of anything and you have several pieces. It puts it all in a summary ingest that's easier to manage, and gives people like me, who's not mathy, right? I'm not like, I don't want to have to break out a calculator. Math isn't my strongest suit, but it's a really great add-on if anybody is interested. But yeah,
And-
I've thoroughly enjoyed the corruption element.
And what's that add-on name again? One more time.
Corruption tooltips.
Okay. Cool. I might have
It's
to look for that.
lightweight, nothing. It doesn't do all this crazy stuff. It just enhances the information on the pieces and on your total package.
John, have you gone fully corrupted every single piece of gear that you can possibly have and equip it all at the same time yet?
Every piece of gear that is corrupted that I have, I'm wearing. So I have, I think, a total of 85 corruption active on me at the moment.
You have
Is that
what? What's
after
the number?
mitigation?
85. No, that's before mitigation.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, right now, so I'm only getting hit by the first effect. Whatever the second one is, I'm not quite that high after mitigation. But it does say that, like, so I get the thing where the big circle appears around you and there's
The
an
eyeball, you
eyeball
have to move.
and it shoots at you and you got to move out of it. And it does say the circle gets bigger depending on
Yeah.
what your corruption level, and that circle's pretty big. When it appears, I'm like, oh, I gotta run. This thing is not joking around, but it's great because you got the corruption. You're just gonna live with it. Like I love the chaos of it, and to me, that's what makes it exciting. Is WoW has become so predictable. As far as
So
like
A to B, right? It's either A or B. There's never anything in between.
And I don't want to say that this patch doesn't have any of that because some of the elements that I don't like that it's, well, this is the area that's going to be really corrupted. It's going to be Pandaria this week, and then it's going to be this week, and it's just going to alternate back and forth. That to me, it just screams theme park ride, which is the thing people always talk about with WoW is like, it's a theme park ride. And sometimes it's really fun, but sometimes it's just, like, yeah, Pirates of the Caribbean is going to be Pirates of the Caribbean. And if you've done nothing but Pirates of the Caribbean for the past couple weeks, sometimes you're going to be like, shut up, singing pirates. I'm done with you.
But
And why are they
change.
only focusing assaults in just 2 places? There's a plethora of havoc to wreak.
Yeah.
That is a little weird, right?
Yeah, and when those sorts of mechanic things just show up, it's really distracting to me with how mechanical and just like, okay, someone sat down and like they got out their spreadsheet and was like, this is what we've charted it out. This is what it's going to be. The cloak has been that. The cloak has been, you are either doing exactly this and you are all in exactly the same spot, or you're falling behind. Like, that's the 2 modes. There's no, well, I really busted my ass more than anybody else, or I got really lucky even. Because honestly, I'm at the point where I don't even care if people just got really lucky and that put them in a different spot than me. I don't care. Like, that's cool. Let them experience that cool feeling of, oh, I got something really lucky and I got something really cool. Go for it. Do it. But it is just absolutely, you are either here at the front line or you're falling behind. Those are the 2 places you can be. And it just makes for this really like, okay, we're all walking in a line together kind of feeling to the whole thing that I don't love. It doesn't feel conducive to what this game should actually be. And so corrupted gear, even though I'm sure at a point is, you can bust out the spreadsheet and say, well, it's this is what you pick, this is what it does, this is the math behind it, here's what you got to do. It at least feels more chaotic. They're at least capturing that, that telltale like games where it's going to be this story no matter what, but you'll feel like you had an impact. Like, that's what corrupted gear is to me, is it feels like, oh, my game experience is different from other people's, which is nice.
And I've refused to look at what the top whatevers of what my class and spec are using. I don't give 2 shits about best in slot. That's great. Cool for you. I am winging this old school, flying by the seat of my pants, knowing my spec, knowing what its capabilities are, and knowing what is good and what is bad. I have done 0 guides whatsoever. It is literally just me. My math is really bad, but it's me just going based off, like, I have no electricity and now I have to learn how to make a fire and build with no, things. I do not care for the guides. in this particular thing, because I agree with you. I think the chaos is something that makes it interesting, because you never really know what you're going to get or how you're going to do it. People complain about the RNG of it, but I think that that's kind of the beauty there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's one of the things that I think WoW really needs to kind of lean back on. I mean, there's always going to be min-maxing. There's always going to be, you know, the right best way to do something. But I really like when design goes more towards play styles versus, you know, just straight up, okay, what's
Cookie
the best
cutter,
DPS?
right? Yeah.
Exactly. And like, you know, way back when they switched to how the talents were built out instead of, okay, well, if you follow this tree and path and hit this and make sure to get this 3% here and that 5% there and everything, to actual choice of what you have to do and everything, I found that to be, you know, a lot better. And I'll still say that for what I look for in the game, that type of talent tree is the best. Now, do I just basically pick my talents and then that's it and never look at them or change them again? Yes. But the point is,
John was going, no. Yes.
Yes, you do. Oh, okay.
yeah, no, I never look at them again. Like,
I
what's
mean,
the
it's
spec?
true. Generally speaking, I don't change it much, but I have a few that I do switch off and
Yeah.
on, depending on the situation.
And the thing is now that I'm actually going to be rating as a DPS again, I might change some of that based on, you know, situational fights and
You're
stuff
gonna
like
have
that. Because
depending on bosses.
yeah, I mean, it kind of makes more sense for me to be a little bit more cognizant of that. But I like the fact that there are still choices that work with however I want to play. Like, okay, do I want to push another button to do something, or do I want it to be passive? Because as everybody knows, if it can be passive, generally it's a lot more fun, but it's not the min-max version of it.
Right.
You have
yeah.
no control over passive, right?
I love passive abilities because I'm so.
It feels like with Holinka, the great and powerful unpruner, I feel like the potential for future to be able to make those choices is hopefully it'll be a little bit more meaningful. The things we have to choose from now in our handy dandy little choice of 3 in each row, some of that stuff was inherent utility for what the class was. Like, you took away what made me my class by making me choose between one or the other that I didn't have to choose before. I'm kind of hoping that, I don't know, I don't think they're ever going to bring back anything that gives us a super amount of choice, like reforging, which they've asked, the community has asked for.
Oh, reforging the worst.
I loved reforging for PvP, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I feel like they saved me for myself there, because I spent quite a lot of time with the reforger and it was probably really bad.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing that I had with the reforger is, and this is like, don't shoot me with this, but it's kind of the same issue that I have sometimes with like corrupted gear or something like that. Like, if this piece of gear is an upgrade, but it has a corruption that I don't want or I don't want to use, I can't just like put it on and wear it right away. You know, if it's going to throw me well over my corruption limit or something, it's just going to be a piece of gear that sits there until I can go and cleanse it.
That's the time when you don't be vanilla, Ben, and maybe you throw caution to the wind and you just throw that sucker on and just deal with whatever comes your way.
You listen to the squinchy sounds of those pants sliding over your legs. You feel a wriggling and you don't wonder what it is. You just go with it. You just want to power through it.
You just do the unexpected. Put cinnamon
also,
in your cereal, Ben.
Yeah.
It also goes along with, you know, getting things enchanted and gemmed and everything, so that, you know, you could be the best of what you have at that moment as soon as you loot a piece of gear. I'd like being able to just put something on right away, not have to worry about anything else.
Well, here's a fun way to make sure that you never are a min-maxer. Don't ever enchant or put gems in your shit. Because then, now, by not doing that, you have now discovered a way to, like, ask Mr. Robot. Mr. Robot will go, those pants are great. You should put a gem in it. And you're like, I'm not going to fucking do that. And
mind your own business, Mr. Robot.
And because you're saying that to Mr. Robot, Mr. Robot's like, well, now I can't help you. I don't know what you're going to do. These pants are probably not as good as those other pants. You're right, because apparently you're a madman who's not going to put a gem in his pants. And I'm like, that's right. I'm not going to do it.
I say,
your raid team won't
arigato, Mr. Roboto.
And your raid team will not expect enchants gems or anything above the basic bitch things that you pick up off bosses. They will not expect you to go above and beyond. So there's some good. John's got some good points there.
Me to go above and beyond.
Yeah, I'm
Oh.
not doing it. I'm
Look,
done.
It's gonna be really weird with me, switching to DPS because one of the biggest things that I loved about healing was like the meters don't matter as long as everybody's alive.
Yeah, welcome to the cesspool with the rest of us scrubs.
And now I'm back into DPS where I'm like, I've got to try.
No, uninstall the meter. It doesn't matter. Here's what matters. Did you have fun? And if the answer is yes, then you keep raiding. And if the answer is no, then you stop raiding. That's the only meter. It's two things.
You for the worst DPS of the raid. It is no longer.
He's
you're one of the
he has the say. There's no reason for him to do it.
Well, no, in all honesty, the reason that I have a meter right now is just until I get more used to, like my rotation and stuff.
No,
and once
to
I
be
see
honest,
some improvement in
you
that,
need to kill bosses. The point is to have fun. Yes, John is correct. The point is to have fun. However, it is not fun to wipe 32 fucking times on normal N'Zoth. That is not fun for anyone. If you don't check meters, you are going to wipe 34 on normal while the rest of the world
I'm still doing better than most of those other people, so it's fine. I don't need a meter to remind me that I'm still middle of the pack. I don't need it. I'm still, even not trying, I'm outperforming some of these jabronis.
And
so
he's right. And,
I just, it's fine.
Is right. There's the meters. I don't give a shit about meters. I don't care about that. I care that, yes, I went the whole boss fight and I didn't die. Yay!
Yeah, there you go. That's a good one. That's how I know that I feel good when I come back, because I don't have meters. And, on the off chance whenever I rejoined you guys, you're like, hey, we're just raiding this. You want to come along? I'm like, sure, I haven't raided in months, but I guess I'll come along. And I get there, and we're doing the boss mechanics, and I'm, like, in the group that has to, like, wipe it up. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? I don't know how my damage was. Probably hot garbage. But who's still alive doing hot garbage damage? Me. All the rest of you are dead, but I'm still doing my garbage DPS all the way to the end of this fight.
Well, now you're not going to have a healer who makes sure to gives you special treatment because you're my best friend.
Oh, well, we're going to
I get a little about that. I get a little of that too because Rem's our healer. So I know he makes sure that I stay alive. But I always tell the raid team, like, if you guys are dying to mechanics and I'm not, there is a problem. Like, you have to examine your life if Belle is the last man standing because you have taken a wrong turn in whatever things you're doing in your life, because I should never be the last man standing. I'm like the worst.
Or when I get the softball tactics explained to me and it turns out I'm so good it gets me killed, because that's what happened on that what is it, maiden fight. Where everyone's like, so we've talked about this on this, but I don't care. It's my favorite story. So I've never done the fight before. I've never been here. And I get there, and it's that one where you have to, like, you have the polarity shifting, and then there's bombs that get put on you, and you have to jump into the elevator when the bomb detonates to bounce you back up, that whole thing. And so I've never done it. They're explaining it, and they're like, okay, there's a polarity thing. It's like the fight in Nax, you'll figure that part out. That's fine. I'm like, okay. Then there's a whole thing with orbs. Touch the orbs that are like you. Don't touch the orbs that are not like you. Okay, got it. Also, there's a bomb. And now I know that they gave me the description that they have given everybody, because they say, the second it appears on you, jump in that elevator. And I'm like, oh, okay. Because you have to be in that elevator by the time it goes off. So I'm playing and I'm doing the mechanics and I'm following the rules and all of that. And that bomb appears, and like a damn professional, I am in that elevator pit in half a second from it appearing above my head. Boom! You've never seen somebody move to the elevator as fast as me. And I dive in, and down the pit I go, and I blow up somewhere halfway down the chute, and it doesn't do jack shit for me because I'm already way too far down. And I was like, what happened? I had to have been there on time. And yeah, there's actually a timing element to it. It's not right away. you gotta kind of space it just a little bit right. And I was okay.
So John, you know how you don't ever look at your, your tells ever?
Yeah, yeah.
I did send you a tell that said you don't need to go right away. You can wait a
Oh.
second or two.
Well, that's why we used to talk on the phone
But
while
at
we
least
raided.
you follow directions to the T.
Uh-huh.
I hear the first sentence of the 20-minute fucking spiel of a boss. And I say to Rem and I are usually in Zoom, and Gabe is our raid leader, and he's given really good stuff. I'm sure it really is like pro, and I'm sure it's going to make me awesome. I will turn to Rem and go, listen, I don't understand anything he just said. Like, I got the first step down. So he will tell me as it's happening because he knows but once I get the really difficult mechanics, sometimes only take me one time and I will remember it forever. I will never forget it. I just need to see it. Explaining it's great, except I need someone to yell at me while it's happening.
Well, I think I do a pretty good job of the quick and dirty mechanics.
Yes, I need Ben's description. I'm not trying to throw out aspersions to people. Ro is our detailed fight analysis.
Say no more. Say no more. I know, Ro, I got you. I know, Ro. I would not be able to understand Ro either. I feel you.
We get to the end and I'm just like, I hope I die in this fight. Because I don't want to live anymore.
No, have you ever just killed yourself because you knew you were going to screw up a really bad mechanic and you did not want to be that guy? So I will just go fuck off in a corner somewhere and like, oh, that was unfortunate. How did I die?
Yeah. Oh, man.
I'll just sit here and watch so I know what not to do next time.
Yeah. There were some fights like that. There are some fights where I'm just always like, man, I hope I'm dead by the time we get to that mechanic. Because I just don't like that mechanic. Like, can I just really like put 120% of my effort in phase 1, 2, and 3 and just sit on my ass for phase 4 because phase 4 just sucks.
There's some that give me anxiety. Motherload, the last boss in Motherload, if it's over like a 9, I will make up reasons. Oh shit, my cat's on fire. I gotta go. Belle, you don't have a cat. Mind your own business.
No.
Don't worry about what's going on in my house.
There's one outside. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
But the last boss gives me anxiety so bad because I know I'm going to screw up not running to the thing for him to hammer down, or I'm not going to be right behind him when the Gatling goes off, or I'm going to not take the Heart Seeker where it needs to go. It is so frustrating that I will invent reasons to not do. I think I've only done Motherload like 4 times because of that reason.
I think I've only done it like twice total. Like I've barely done any dungeons this expansion.
I'm trying to think of what is one of mine where I'm just like, I don't want anything to do with that particular phase. And I was always so happy if I was dead by the time we got to it.
You know, the ones that I feel that way it's like when if you move, you take damage. And it's like, but there's stuff that makes you move all the time. Yep. Like the one in the prison where you're up top or whatever, and there's these like the rays or something that you need to get out of the way, but anytime you move it's like, oh, you're taking damage.
Oh yeah. That's
yeah, I don't care what the name is.
I only did that dungeon once.
Yeah, there's many dungeons that I have not. I just bow out and I'm like, no guys, I'm good. Oh yeah, it is Toll, which is one that I try to avoid. Freehold, I could actually do in my sleep. I have done that one so many times trying to get that freaking bird that I could do that in my sleep. But yeah, I get really bad anxiety. And most of my friends are like my raid leaders and all that. They're all like, they push high keys. And I'm like, guys, just let me go find something to do. You don't feel obligated. As long as I do my 10 every week for my chest, you don't have to feel bad about going and doing a thing, because honestly, I just get a lot of anxiety. Maybe it's old age, because I feel like I didn't used to be that way.
You know what? It could be. Because, I mean, I kind of... Well, it's weird, because I'm at a weird dichotomy here, because I care less about rating and stats and everything than I ever have. But at the same time, I really want to do well. So, like, I want to
be with my people, right? But I don't particularly care about... I never was a raider. I only raid because I'm the guild master and I want to be connected to my guild. I actually hate raiding.
Yeah, but then at the same time, I yelled at the raid on Wednesday.
Oh, look at you, just yelling at him.
Yeah. Well, anytime I do, I feel bad afterwards, but it's one of those situations where, like, we're going down to one of the bosses, which we're actually doing okay. You know, I think we've killed like 4 or 5 bosses or something, maybe 6 or something now. But we're going down to Hive Mind or whatever. You know, have to like go down into the thing. So we're at the 2 giant tentacles flapping around beforehand, and they've like wiped the entire raid except for the 2 tanks. I was one of the last people to die, but I res instantly and run back because I'm a healer. I want to make sure that people stay alive and stuff. I get down there and it's like the 2 tanks who are still alive and me. And they're all talking about, like, you know, it was music or concert or something, and everybody just having a grand old time talking stuff. And I'm just like, hey guys, shut up and get down here. We're all dying and there's only 3 of us or something.
Nobody
like
cares about your concert.
Like I was a total jerk, and I feel bad about that. But sometimes you just have to say something.
I don't feel like you know how to be a jerk.
Oh, I do. Kind of.
He has his moments when he needs it.
Yeah.
But we've been on the other side of that. Ben and I have gotten yelled at for talking about anime.
Anime.
Instead of... But you know what, Ben? We were still playing the damn game. Other people were having a hard time playing the game because we wouldn't shut up, but at least we were playing the game at the same time.
See, that's what matters. As long as you continue doing what you can, that's great. But, yeah, and like sometimes during boss fights, it's like, especially when it's the first time that we're seeing anything and there's like a really important tank swap and people are just chatting about stuff, it's like, no!
You know what's funny? I raided one night with my office door closed. No distraction, no husband, no 50 children, no grandchild, no dogs, no phone, no nothing. I didn't die once. DPS, I was told was great. I parsed even. That never happens. So everyone was joking like, oh, you should always play with your door closed. I'm like, you guys think I'm joking? The amount of traffic, they don't talk to me all day. Not one word, not a hello, not a nothing. The second I come in my office, it is a back-to-back. Mom, where is this? Mom, where is that? Hun, what do I do here? Hun, what do I do here? It is constant, all the time.
Now, important question. Your office door, is it like saloon doors or is it a revolving door?
No, but I don't usually like the door shut because, like, if
Phoenix.
I don't know, I'm paranoid, right? Like, what if something happens with the kid and, you know, one of the kids are hurt and I'm up here? I feel really, you know, it feels bad to be secluded, but then sometimes it feels really good. And maybe I wouldn't have to hide in the bathroom as often if I just shut the freaking door. They never talk to me unless I'm in here on the computer. Not one word all day. And the second I come up here, the husband can't figure out 20 things on his computer. His Windows needs to update and he doesn't know how to push the button.
See, I'm really lucky because, you know, Nevermore raids with me. She's one of our tanks. So, like, we just complain about stuff not on Discord and have a lot of fun doing that.
Maybe that's what I need to get him into raiding, and maybe he'll.
Totally.
There you go.
Maybe, and then I'll just need to like tie up the kids or something, or
They can't get hurt if they're like tied to something.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's just
That's
kid
science.
math.
yeah.
I have found that there is a certain number of raid mechanics before I just go, nah, I'm done. When
And now, are you talking about on a single fight or just in an entire raid?
in a single fight. When
Okay.
it's, okay, guys, this is going to be a multi-phase fight. Phase 1, you're going to stay out of the poop. He's going to spawn ads, take out the ads. Then you're going to run in, make sure you're close for this, make sure you're far for this. That's phase 1. I'm like, okay. Phase 2, he's going to go up in the air. You're going to want to move this. This is going to be a debuff. You're going to run that over to the corner. Make sure you stay away from other people. There's going to be a raid warning. This will spawn. You're going to have to shatter this. I'm like, okay, I'm on board. Now, phase 3, there's going to be areas that are going to be off limits. Then these things are going to come down. They will shoot beams across, so you need to make sure that you're not in front of them. The boss will be tanked in the corner. Now, when things hit 20%, we're going to move the boss from here to here. And I go, I'll be dead by this phase. It'll be fine. I'll just stand in front of one of the beams and we'll be okay. I'll just go,
Ashara is
man, you know.
absolutely the best, because I too died very early on because fuck all that.
Yeah, Kefez is in the chat room. Shara, yeah, definitely. Being the healer on that fight, though, that was I really need to know what's going on here.
And
because
you can't kill yourself because they will forever res you every time a battle reses up.
Generally,
Literally, you can't even just go away quietly into the night.
yeah. Oh, okay, so do you want to know the two things that give me the most anxiety in raid? I'm just realizing this. One is, hey, who do you want to res? And
Uh-huh.
I'm still alive. And I'm just like, oh God, I can't make that decision right now. I'm keeping everybody else alive. And it's really hard. And so like I look at really quick, I'm like, okay, this person. Like, I have a few that like will automatically, if it's a tank or a healer, they get the res because we need them. And
Yeah.
then of course, there's like, you have your DPS in tiers, so okay, well
Your
this
top
person
DPS,
died.
you don't have to lie. It's
Yeah.
the people that are pushing the big numbers because that's
I said they're in tiers. Take that however you mean.
That's why I always get
Take it
mad
however
when
you
it
mean.
was me. I was like,
Good-
what the heck?
good, mediocre, and let that motherfucker stay dead.
And John, you're in the good.
I
good
know.
zone.
That's why I'm always like, every time it was me, I was like, come on, just let me stay dead. There has to be someone who was better, who's dead.
Sometimes I'm eating chicken fries during raid because raid is early because I'm on an Eastern server. So for me, it's early and I'm hangry. So I sometimes might kill myself so that I can finish shoving the food in my face.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like this is Netflix time now. That's my reward for dying, is that I get to watch the rest of Netflix. Why are you rezzing me? This is an insult to both of us. Because I'm gonna come back and just want to die again because now I'm invested in this whole other thing.
Well, then I just pretend like I'm not there. Like I died, so I went downstairs and I'm not at the computer, so I just won't take the res. I'll just pretend to stay.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. It's like when we're like, we really need this person up, and you cast the res on them, and it's just like
They're not taking it.
they're not taking it. It's like, so and so sent you res.
Yeah, he's out back smoking
They're
a
just
joint,
waiting.
drinking a beer, enjoying himself, not dying to mechanics.
So I will say this has happened to me at least 3 times. This exact scenario where it's I die, I go, well, what are you gonna do? I start watching something, I alt tab, I start doing something else because fights in this game take a small eternity, and it's like, well, I got plenty of time. Then I either hear in my ears like, we're gonna res you, John, or John, did you get that res? Or I just happen to look back up and I go, oh, and I'm being rezzed, and I'm like, now I'm in a panic. Now I hit yes, and I respawn the second the big devastating AoE goes out, and I instantly drop again. And it's just like, this is why you shouldn't have picked me. You shouldn't have picked me. I was invested in other things now.
They even tell me not to take the res yet, and don't you know I'm a compulsive clicker, so of course I'm taking the res right now. It's in front of me. I'm just gonna click it.
Oh, I just realized something, and I mean this probably doesn't mean anything to you guys, but I don't need to sacrifice myself to keep other people alive anymore because I won't be
Right.
healing them.
You
Right.
get to
Oh,
be
this
a
is
little bit.
amazing.
You get to be a little selfish now, which is really nice.
Yeah, I can be like, oh no, I'm supposed to stand in the silence thing so I don't die when the explosion happens. Okay, cool. I'll get in there right now, as opposed to, oh, they're about to die, and if they get in the silence thing, they will die. Okay.
Not your
I
problem
died.
to solve, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, I forgot what
DPS
that's
is the
like.
best, man. It's the best.
No, melee DPS is the best because you get to ignore like 90% of the mechanics.
If people are relying on me to keep them alive, it's just going to go bad every time because I don't know how to will people to live. I like destruction. So, and it's not just my spec. I like, as John puts it, chaos. So I'm not trying to help keep people alive. I'm trying to push people off a cliff. I'm trying to set them on fire, spear, whatever.
I am. I like to think of myself as the truest tank and healer of the team. I'm a tank in that by killing it quick, that's less damage that needs to be received. And I'm a healer by killing it quick, that's less damage that our team receives.
You're so versatile, John.
Yeah, I'm all 3 roles rolled into one freaking package.
You should try out for one of the world first, second, or third
No,
teams.
screw that. They're ruining the game. I don't want to be. I want to be on their team.
To be fair, Way back when, there was a time where I said, "Hey, John, can you evasion tank for a couple seconds?"
Yeah, I did it.
And we've won the fight because of it.
Yep.
So we had a legend in our midst who literally is the whole package, and we
Yeah.
didn't even know it.
And
Yeah.
he's not even a druid.
Why be one spec? Yeah, that's true. I'm doing it as a rogue. Because the best class.
And the
Hashtag
rogue
best
is
class.
such your personality anyway. If I never would have had a conversation with you in life and just read you on Twitter, I would have pegged you for a rogue in a second.
We actually, just the other day, there was a conversation in the work break room, maybe initiated by me, about what an acceptable level of larceny was okay.
And what is that level, John?
Like,
There
if
is a
you
level.
steal something from Disneyland, it's okay.
But if you steal, say, jewelry from your neighbor's drawer, that's
No,
probably,
that's not
well,
good. No.
That
Well,
depends. Is that
tell me about your neighbor.
Well-
I would like to say really quick at this point, Azeroth Roundtable does not condone stealing from
I
you.
condone a little bit of stealing. Like, look, I'm not going to go over to Ben's place and take stuff from Ben. That's wrong. Ben's just another person trying to get by, trying to do it. It's
but
fine.
I would tell Ben, I'm taking this thing.
But, you know,
But I like that
if
thing.
somebody was like, okay,
Then
so
you better fight me to
so
the death.
here's the story. Way back in the day, my grandma, she's no longer with us. You're not going to get her Disney, so just give up. Way back in the day, Disneyland had just opened. It may not have even been officially open, but my grandma lived basically right next door to Disneyland. And she went over there with a friend of hers. They went into, I don't know if it was still called the Carnation Cafe, but essentially what is the Carnation Cafe. And they had for their lunch trays, it was, you know, your typical kind of lunch tray with a big map of the park on it. And it was just these nice lunch trays. And my grandmother's friend said, I love these trays. And my grandma said, well, then let's take them. And she grabbed them and she picked them up and she put them under her arm and she walked out of there. And at this time, Walt Disney was literally out front greeting customers, greeting patrons of the park, saying goodbye. They go walking past Walt Disney. He goes up to them, said, evening, ladies. Did you enjoy your time at the park? Yes, we did. He says, I see you got some souvenirs. That's fantastic. Yes, we loved it. We got these souvenirs. And they walked out. They friggin' jacked trays from Disneyland, right literally talking to Walt Disney. And I would argue that this is a completely acceptable amount of
He allowed them.
theft.
He didn't stop them.
He could have. I don't think he knew that those were stolen. But I think he just thought they bought them for some reason. But to this day, I still own the tray, and it's an amazing little story, and it's an amazing little piece, and I
I
think
would
that's
have been-
fine.
Best friends, and I do find that that is an acceptable level.
Okay. Question. Just because I want to find levels and everything. Okay.
Okay.
So when Galaxy's Edge opened in loading bay 7, they had sporks that were there. It's like not like a normal like KFC
Sporks got
but-
brought up in this discussion, by the
Okay.
way.
Well,
So,
no, and
yes,
this is
continue.
my question. So, so people were stealing them, so they stopped putting them out and just started using regular silverware because of that.
Mhm.
Now, I say that's akin to the tray, but the ones that went on eBay for hundreds of dollars, is that acceptable stealing or
That's just a
not?
hustle.
I mean, yeah, it's a little like if you're looking at like, oh, we took something from Disney, who's going to turn around and now they sell the spork for, you know, $13.50. Like, no, stealing it from Disney wasn't great, or it was fine, but, you know, maybe then just trying to turn around and sell it on eBay. Well, now I'm kind of questioning why you decided to take it. You didn't take it because it was nice.
Mhm.
You tried to take it because you're trying to, you know, just make a big profit off of it, which is okay, but it does move you a little more towards the ambiguous side.
Okay, I have one, and it's because it's plagued me for 25 years now.
Okay.
Sorry, Azeroth Roundtable. We talk about the serious stuff.
Denny's, I'm 18, my very first apartment. No silverware, no chairs, no couches, no furniture, no nothing. Just literally a milk crate. Remember those back then? Those
Mhm.
existed. X amount of years ago.
Mhm.
We went to Denny's. I needed silverware. So I took the silverware I was using with me back home so that I had a spoon, a fork, and a knife to eat my food with.
This is
And
totally
up
fine.
until like 10 years ago, I still had said silverware in my house that went with me and traveled through my life. Was that acceptable? Or was
Yeah,
that
that's
just...
$100.
That's a total Jean Valjean moment.
That's 100% fine. You know what? So we told this story. We actually have had many conversations about, is it okay to take this? Is it okay to take that? And one of the ones we talked about was, is it okay to take the pen when you sign the check at a restaurant? It's always okay to steal a pen. That's fine. But my girlfriend told me that she didn't think any theft was okay. 0%. So me and my buddy who were there then proceeded to steal knives and the pens and basically anything we could get our hands on and leave them in my girlfriend's car to find.
That's terrible.
Just to prove that it was kind of okay.
We did that to Jim at Bubba Gump. We bought a cup, but we told him he stole it when we left. Like, we handed him the cup and we told him we paid for it. Or we told him we paid for it. We didn't pay for it. But it was also the cup that you drink and you take, I think.
Yeah.
Rem, remind me, I don't know. But he walked back to the hotel thinking that he owned it. And then we were like, by the way, you stole a cup from Bubba Gump, dude. Like, I know you're against it, but now you are a hardened criminal. He went back. He walked all the way back with the cup. And then they were like, it's your cup. You drink and take it. It's one of the ones where you buy the drink and whatever comes in.
You get the souvenir cup.
Yeah, you get the cup. Yeah. Oh, yeah, he did. He ran back. It was hysterical. But we were trying to show him, like, somebody somewhere has taken something that either was not theirs. They took too much of something at a buy one, get one or whatever, or too much at a buffet, or come on. Somebody has overdone something that they shouldn't have at one point in their life.
So this is where I come in and being the boring vanilla guy and just say, I don't steal stuff.
Nothing? You don't ever
really.
steal anything? You've never taken
Never
anything?
like an extra mayonnaise packet at
You
the
never
store.
downloaded a song? You were never part of the Napster generation?
Boom.
Okay, no, you're right. I did do that, definitely.
Yes, Ross and Jan are
however-
taking all the stuff from the hotel.
Yeah. But I will say, as I have, grown up, or some might call it matured or whatever, I don't do songs and stuff anymore.
I don't either,
hold
Ben.
on.
I'm with you. But here's the thing.
No, I download illegal music all day long. I'm not paying for that shit. Download illegal movies all day long. FBI, here I am. Come get me. I'm a hardened criminal. Like,
my point is this. We all have this weird rule. It's like,
Yeah.
well, I believe in laws, except I am going to drive 5 to 10 miles per hour over the speed limit because of course I am. Like, we all have this weird line that is acceptable to us, and it's just what we understand the way the world to work. And I just think that, maybe a little perspective on that is okay. And the whole thing that generated this conversation was the statement that we were hearing from people who worked at a restaurant, and they said that the elderly, senior citizens, basically clean out restaurants when they come through. They are the most likely to just clean you out, take your silverware, take your cups,
salt and pepper shaker,
take salt and
everything.
paper shakers, take it all. And I think really the reason for that is this. They have been alive long enough to know the level of advantage that the world is taking of them constantly. And it's time for them to just take a little bit back. And I think that's okay.
Well, then when we're elderly, maybe my thought and everything will change on that.
how mad was your girlfriend, though, that you put all of these stolen items in her car?
She wasn't thrilled about it, but she thought it was kind of funny too. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, I'm mad, but I'm laughing, so, we're not gonna...
So you weren't sleeping on the couch. That's good news.
She just said in chat the kids thought it was great. So her kids thought it was fantastic. So
You're a good role model, John.
perfect. Teaching a new generation. Look, I don't get to decide what my taxes go towards. I don't get to pick and choose. Government's going to take their money from me. I got to pay it. I can't abstain. I can't say, you know what? I'm a conscientious objector to the money that I have to give the man. So if I want to take a little bit back here and there, I think that's okay.
I just want to open up all your cupboards in your house now and see what you have stashed in there.
I actually don't have, here's the funny thing, despite this grandstanding, I don't steal that much, really. I don't actually, I actually kind of feel bad. I have a really shitty fork that I accidentally took from a Coco's during BlizzCon one year, because I just, I ordered a pie at, I think it's Coco's. Anyway, I went and I got a pie, and I was eating it, and I closed the pie lid, and the fork was still in there, and I took the fork, and I was like, well, this is coming home with me. And now I got a shitty fork that doesn't match the other
I don't feel bad.
forks.
My forks disappear all day long, and my children don't know where they went, where they've been, where they're going, and they don't know how 30 forks disappeared out of the drawer. I don't feel bad.
It's true. I have lost a lot of forks. I think here's my problem. I'm prone to doing I'm eating out of a box or something, and then I close the box, and then I go, why is there so much garbage in this house? I just throw the box away, and it's still got forks in it. So, it all works out. It's a circle of life thing. Those forks go
balance.
Somewhere. I should probably get to steal a couple forks because I gave back to the earth. That's how it works.
Well, in closing the show, I'm just gonna say I'm the guy who bought some sporks from Disneyland when I was there because they were really cool.
How much were the sporks, Ben?
Like 10 to 12 bucks or something. I don't know, something like that. But I
Okay.
bought them because they were cool. Anyways, thank you everybody for joining us on Azeroth Roundtable. Belle, it has been a pleasure as it always is. And until next time we have you on, where can people find you?
Still like the herp, spreading myself around all over. That's good herpes, tried and true throughout the years, really does a good job of replicating and spreading. So I've heard or read. But I'm currently at Belle of Method, which I actually need to change that back. But I'm Belle of something somewhere on the Twitter sphere. Pwnecast, follow us on Twitch to watch live every other Saturday.
All right. Hey, John.
Hey.
When you're not pilfering silverware, where can people find you?
Hey, if you want to hear more from me, strong opinions, strong thoughts, follow me on Twitter at John_Jagger. I'll chat at you there. We can talk about whatever. We don't have to talk about stealing stuff. You can if you want. I'm not very good at it. I don't do it as much as I claim, but I do play a rogue in World of Warcraft.
Show title though.
And that's fine. But I also do shows. I do this show. I also do a show about video games. It's called Core. And, it's a video game show. We talk about video games. What do you want? And I also play Dungeons & Dragons, and we record it. We put it on the internet. It's a thing that all the kids these days are doing. And being a young, cool, hip fella, I'm doing it too. And you can find out more about that show at therewillbedungeons.com.
Very cool.
Ben, what about you? When you're not
Me?
stealing and living your best vanilla life.
Look, someone's got to eat the vanilla ice cream, and I enjoy it. But if you're looking for me and my boring self, you can find me on Twitter. I am at Ben Bumhofer. I do a show with Eludra called Box Fort, where we talk about anything we really want to, actually. We geek out about stuff, whether it's video games, comic books, movies, whatever. So check that out. Sorry, Belle's flashing cash.
Belle just reached down at the end of the show and was just like, how about some cash?
Nice.
It was just in my pocket and I don't know how it got there. I don't even use money.
All right. Not bad.
See? You blame me for stealing. She doesn't even use money, Ben.
If you're looking for other shows I also do a Dungeons & Dragons show. It's called Plus 5 to Hit, where we play Dungeons & Dragons and have a whole lot of fun. And of course, there's also DN Discussions, which I do with Ryan Reeder, where we talk about Dungeons and Dragons from a DM and a player perspective. So check those out. This show, though, Azeroth Roundtable, does not condone the act of stealing. So please, just don't listen to anything that we said here, mainly because I don't want a lawsuit on our hands. On top of that, you can follow us on Twitter. We are at AzerothRT. If you have any questions, comments, want to ask John what your level of thievery is acceptable, you can always email us. Send that to AzerothRoundtable@gmail.com. And you can find all of our episodes on AzerothRoundtable.com, as well as on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, all that fun stuff. And of course, check us out. Friday nights, we stream this show live. It's twitch.tv/AzerothRT. Check out our Twitter in order to find out when we do that.
Well, hey, everybody. Here we are at the end of the show. And, boy, we talked about taking advantage of people, and now we're going to talk about the opposite. Patreon.com/AzerothRT is where you can go to give us money.
Promise it's not a scam.
Oh my god. I feel dirty.
That was probably the best I've ever heard, ever.
Patreon.com/AzerothRT is where you can go to
Shitstones.
make this show. If you are disgusted by our blatant theft,
You're.
all of us, we're all part of this now. You're all guilty by hearing it now. And if you feel dirty about it, then guess what? If you give us money, we're less likely to take things that don't belong to us.
But do you have a P.O. box so that Rem can send you stolen silverware?
No,
Yeah.
I think we're good.
Oh, that could be a new tier. Just send us the shit you took from other people.
No.
Oh,
But
man.
But that doesn't
We-
make you the thief. That just makes you the recipient.
Yeah,
of what
we
you
could
think
just
is
be
really
like
good.
We're at that point.
We could just be a fence. I don't know. People just send us stuff. That's weird. That's
Oh
fine.
my god.
It's not my job to ask where they got it. It's just nice that they're doing it for us.
Oh, we're going to hell, and I'm okay with that.
Here's a group of people that have done far more for us than they should have, but we appreciate them nonetheless. Aaron, Caleb M, Kilroy-tastic, Michael Van, still can't see your last name, and you even sent me a message about it. Thanks, Michael Van. You're the best. Sarah M and Taryn, thank you for being part of the Murloc Club.
And I don't blame you if you stop being part of the Merlin
Why, Ben?
Oh. Also, I'd like to make sure to give a big shout out and thank you to Lauren O and also the Librarian, our two newest patrons.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. Look, we shouldn't feel guilty about asking for money at the same time we talk about
I'm just talking
stealing.
I'm talking about the subject matter. If they don't want to support that, I understand. That's all I'm saying.
Patreon is a website that is not us taking money from people. It's
them supporting us, and if
Yeah.
they don't support what we're talking about, that's up
Oh,
to them.
I see what
don't
you're
blame
saying.
them.
You're saying like morally they might be opposed.
Exactly.
I mean,
Well, I
look,
find it hard to believe that at this point in the game for Azeroth Roundtable that they're just now having a problem morally.
well,
So I feel like you guys are okay.
I just
mean,
want you all to
you've got a
picture,
point.
at some point, Disneyland, big Disney, they're so hurting from buying yet another thing that they own. Oh, we just bought
Walt
all of
himself
Fox.
gave it to your grandma. He said, glad you had fun, whatever.
Yeah.
I
To me,
I think that one's totally excused because the man himself said.
It's
"Have
like
a
when my
great day."
kids say, but mom, you were watching me and you didn't say anything. I
That's
feel
true.
like that's the same scenario.
That's true. And really, like, the waitress hands you those pens.
She doesn't say make sure you give it back.
Yeah,
There isn't any,
she
there's
doesn't.
no pretext there.
Like, what?
So-
Like, here's the thing. You know what pens I don't take? The ones that have the stupid flower on them. Because they
Because
have...
then you don't.
They've
You're a
clearly
boy, so
made
you-
an effort to say these are not for you pens. These are for us pens. And I
But
go,
So until
girls
next
are like,
time,
no,
everybody.
they are pens.
Thank you very much for joining us on Azeroth Roundtable. And until next time, as always, be good to each other. Good night.
That was amazing.